Hey folks, welcome back to another Dice Tower preview. I'm Mark, and today we're taking a look at Let's Go to Japan, which is brought to you by AEG. It's for 1 to 4 players, ages 10 and up, and games generally run about 45 to 60 minutes. You are travelers, planning and experience your own dream vacation to Japan. While bouncing between Tokyo and Kyoto, you'll visit can't-miss tourist attractions and local flavor. Using 128 beautifully illustrated cards drawn by Japanese artists, you will discover activities and strategically place them to create your week-long itinerary. Puzzle out the optimal activities to maximize your experience while balancing your resources. Play competitively or solo, earning victory points by successfully navigating the cities, making the most out of your favorite activities, and fulfilling your personal goals. The game consists of 13 rounds in which players draw activity cards and strategically place them in different ways in their week-long itinerary, followed by a final round in which they ultimately go on their planned trip, activating each of their cards in order along the way. And the player with the most points wins, but everyone has the chance to create a memorable vacation. So this game is all about set collection, and you can see here this is a fully fleshed out itinerary, just to give you an example. But let's first take a look at your main board. Every player will get one of these in a color of their choosing, and you have various things here to take note of. In the middle at the top is your mood tracker. Maybe you spent way too much money on one day and it'll move your mood in the wrong direction and can result in negative points. Or maybe you've just done all positive experiences, getting a huge 20-point swing potentially if you've played your cards correctly. To the left of the mood track is possible bonuses you can gain through the course of the game. And when you play your third card on any one day, well then potentially, if you have matching symbols, you're going to get one of these bonuses here, based on how many obviously. And things they're going to do here, like move up positively on the mood track, you might get wilds or research tokens, walk tokens, and extra train tickets. So these are very valuable and not to be missed. On the other side of the mood track is where you're going to be placing cards in the draft. In each round, potentially, you're going to be placing cards here or drawing from there. So it's just a place to store things. And then below that is where your experience track is. As you play cards, as you resolve each day, you're going to be moving up this experience track based on the icons that match. And when you start to reach certain levels of this track, will award you victory points at the end of the game. So these are definitely things to keep an eye on as you place and strategically plan out your trip. And the different icons on these tokens represent temples and shrines. You might get nature and gardens, or food and drink, shopping, and unique experiences. So these you want to keep in mind as you're planning out your cards, obviously. And then below that you have the different days where you'll be placing your sets of cards, planning out your trip. Now, on each of these days, you're going to have a favorable token. One player will get to decide where to place those tokens, and then everyone else has to match the days that they place them. And why is that important? Well, these tokens are really going to match your experience tokens and the cards and icons that you're putting into play. And what you hope is that you've played the cards correctly so they match the favorable token to get you those bonuses from each of those days. And again, like I said, once you play that third card, you're going to get one of these bonuses, and you can choose. If you have 3 matching symbols, you can choose to do any of these bonuses. So it's really advantageous and good way to plan out to get those, because I can tell you, especially for me, using these wilds to up your different experiences was key to getting points for me at the end of the game. And just a closer look at the other bonuses available to you. Again, the first one is just moving up the positive side of the mood track. We talked about wilds, allowing you to move along the experience track. If you spend one of those, then you also have research tokens that can just net you points at the end of the game. But during the game, you could exchange them to draw 3 additional cards to choose from, still discarding all of the ones you did not pick, but you still only get to play 1 card and then do whatever the draft is calling for in that particular round. And then the last one is train tickets and walk. So through the course of the game, sometimes cards just don't play out like you want them to, and you can choose to play the card face down and walk. Still, they only give you 3 cards. However, if you have a walk token, then you can play an extra walk card, just giving you some straight up points. But what's neat about walk cards in general is that you can choose when you go to score to play the other side. You can look at it, decide, but generally you're walking for a good reason because you maybe couldn't put together exactly what you needed there. And those train tokens, those are so important. As you move between the different cities, you're going to get negative points if you don't have these luxury train tokens. you do get a start train token to use. So if you plan out your trip like this one that I did, you only have to travel once by train, then you're doing quite well. But you will want those extra tokens if you're going to be moving frequently between the two cities. So gameplay is super straightforward, and you know what, it's really easy to jump into, it's really easy to teach. I found that really nice. The icons work, they all tie in together really well here. And you have the 13 rounds that you're going to be drafting cards. Sometimes you're drawing from the pile, sometimes you're drawing from your main board, but as you draft cards, you'll pass to the next player, and when you do pass, then cards go face down on their player board. Because later in the rounds, you're going to eventually be playing 2 cards and drawing from the stack on your player board. So it's really that simple. You just follow along in this particular round tracker, and it shows exactly how you're pulling cards and how and when you can play them and so forth. So when you do play a card though, you get to choose any day you want to play on. And remember, you're after that target of 3 cards. And when you place that 3rd activity card, well then you're going to check the favorable icon and the icons on your cards if it matches, and get any of those bonuses that we talked about. Again, crucial. And then that day is complete. So when you're placing cards though, you have a choice. A card that's already there is locked into place. But the new card that you place can tuck behind, it can go on top, however you need to do it, which is really interesting because you're looking for the last card in the row to be your highlight of the day, because at the bottom of those cards you're going to potentially score points based on various things. So we'll take a look at that in a minute. But in general, you're looking for those icons for that favorable day to finish it off and get bonuses, and hoping that you've placed your highlight of the day in a way that you can get maximum points for that day. And then of course you have that option to walk. If you do decide to walk, you're going to be placing a card face down in your particular day. But you'll have to discard one from your hand and draw the appropriate card, so you don't know really what's on the other side. So you're taking a chance to say, well, I'm going to walk, but these backside of these cards just give you some favorable points that you don't have to flip it over. So you could flip it over when you go to score and decide then if you want to use the other side, which is nice for sure. But a walk card can go anywhere in your particular set on your different days. So keep that in mind. And when you get a walk card, you're also going to get a research token that can be used to get additional cards to choose from, or again, just for victory points at the end of the game. So let's take a closer look at these activity cards. You know, when you go to score these cards, you'll be doing these things. You've created your set and you're ready to go, and you've completed your itinerary fully. But you look at the top of the card, and the first thing you see is a set of icons. You're going to be moving up the experience track, matching the icon obviously, and potentially you're moving up and down the mood track. So on my Monday here, you'll see that I've moved up Gardens and Nature by 3, and I moved up and down the mood track, which kind of balances itself out. And then on the right side of the card is just the points, the net points you're going to get from that card, totaling those up. And then in the middle of the card is your actual experience that you went through. And I love this part of the game because it gives details and information about real places and things that you might actually do on your trip. Really fantastic. Some nice descriptive text. I love the artwork for sure. And then at the very bottom of your card, only on the highlight of the day, you first check to see if you meet the requirements. And on my Monday, I've met the requirements of having a level 3 Gardens and Nature. So then I get to score 3 points from that. And then I also check to see how many experience points I have in temples. And currently it looks like I probably have 0, but I could spend a wild if I had one to get an extra point potentially if you want to do that. So again, you need to plan these things out so you're ready to get the maximum points from these cards, which I didn't quite do for this one, but I did use a wild in my original game to move it up by 1 and get an extra point. So those are the basics of those cards, and all the pink cards are going to be Kyoto and all the blue cards are going to be Tokyo. However, there are yellow cards that could be used as wild that could be for either city. So when you're looking at those about perhaps moving between cities using train tokens, you don't have to worry about that with the yellow cards. And so at the end of the game, you're going to go through each day this way, calculating your mood, calculating your experience, and totaling up your score for that day and recording it on the score pad. You'll do this for each player, and what's really fun is that we played this at Dice Tower West with Josh Wood, the designer, and he encouraged us all to go through our day and just talk about all the events and everything we did. And the cards really give you a way to role play that, so to say. And it was just a fun experience. It really drew you in to the theme at the end of the game for sure. just planning it out and how you did in that planning for sure. And it all came down to obviously who has the most points, was the best vacationer and the best planner, but still, it all was just this fun experience as you put together your itinerary. It really felt like you're putting together a plan for your trip. All right, folks, just a reminder once again, this has been a Dice Tower paid preview, and everything you've seen here has been in prototype form, so keep a close eye on the campaign for any changes that still may occur. Now, that said, this game is just simply absolutely beautiful, and if you love set collection, this game is going to be right up your alley. It's super intuitive, all the different icons make sense, it's easy to calculate what you're doing and how you're scoring, and if you're getting bonus points. And getting those different wilds, for me anyway, was key. Other players found it key to get those train tickets because they were moving, even within their day, they were moving between the different cities. So you got to be mindful of that because you can start to rack up some heavy negative points if you're swapping cities a bunch. So keep that in mind. But again, if you like set collection, this might be right up your alley. But folks, ultimately, if this looks like something of interest to you, I'm sure they'd appreciate your support. So I think that's it for me. And until next time, we'll see you at the table.